Returning after lunch. So we are on the record before the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians. It is November 3rd, 2016, is approximately 12:50 in the afternoon. This matter is regarding the petition for reinstatement of Jessica Jobin. Is that the correct pronunciation? Okay, thank you. Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 20160908891. My name is Joy, Joy, Redmond, Redmon. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I've been appointed to preside over this matter today. All board members who were here previously are again present, and we have a full quorum. Ms. Bergmeyer, at this time, will you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, Leslie Bergmeyer, Leslie-Burgermeyer, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of this state, pursuant to Government Code Section 11522.
Thank you, Ms. Bergmeyer. And Ms. Jobin, can you also state and spell your name for the record?
Jessica Jobin, Jessica. Jobin is Jobin.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, Ms. Bergmeyer, would you like to proceed?
Yes, thank you. I would like to have marked for identification and offer into evidence Exhibit 1, which is the original petition packet with accompanying documents. The board members and the petitioner have previously been provided a copy of the same set of documents. May I approach?
May. And while we're doing that, before I mark them, Ms. Jobin, you were present this morning when we went through all of the different rights that you have with respect to the hearing. Is that correct?
Yes, I was.
And do you have any questions with respect to any of the things that we talked about?
No, I don't.
Okay, and you do understand that you had the right to be represented by counsel?
Yes.
And you've decided to proceed on your own?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, go ahead, Ms.
All
Bergmeyer.
right, thank you. The Exhibit 1 consists of 6 sections. Section A is the petition for reinstatement and supporting documents. Section B is the license certification. Section C is the notice of hearing and related correspondence. Section D is the 2013 board decision and order. Section E is the 2011 board decision and order. Section F is the 2007 board decision and order. And have they been marked and received, Your Honor?
Yeah, and you would like to have them admitted, correct?
Yes.
And Ms. Jobin, any objection to that? Okay, the documents are admitted.
Okay, then there's kind of a complicated license history with this petitioner. She's had at least 2 licenses. So in relation to the license number VN199566, it was issued to Ms. Jobin by the board in May of 2002. Then in October 2003, it expired. In October 2006, an accusation was filed against that license for criminal conviction of July 2004, furnishing marijuana to a minor under age 14 who was apparently her stepson. She was sentenced to, among other things, 36 months formal probation, 1 day in jail, and other terms. There were related charges in that accusation. She obtained or possessed, furnished, or administered to another the controlled substance of marijuana in violation of law. Then, in January 2006, there was a default decision and order adopted by the board. It became effective in March of 2007, and the license was revoked. No cost recovery was ordered. Then, as to license number VN264959, in October of 2010, Ms. Jobin filed a petition for reinstatement. In May of 2011, looks like the dates may be on. Well, that probably is it. I'm sorry. May of 2011, the petition was granted 2 years probation, standard terms and conditions of probation, the substance abuse terms, chemical dependency support and recovery groups, abstain from controlled substances, abstain from use of alcohol, submit biological fluid samples, and take and pass the licensure examination. In March of 2012, this second license number 264959 was issued to Ms. Jobin. In June of 2012, while on probation, the petitioner requested to voluntarily surrender her license, and the board adopted the stipulated surrender of license and order, which became effective in February of 2013. And then October 31, 2013, that license expired. The petition for reinstatement was received on June 1, 2016. The petition notes that there are no nursing education courses since her license was surrendered. She plans to pursue an RN degree and open a nursing home. She has attended AA, and a residential outpatient program was attended in 2005. She states that June 23, 2014 is her sobriety date, that she attends AA 1 time per week. She does not have a sponsor. She wrote that she goes to AA not only for herself but for others to hear her story. She claims to abstain from drugs and alcohol since the June 23, 2014 sobriety date. She has no indication that she has gone to therapy or counseling. On March 23, 2014, Ms. Jobin suffered a head trauma and seizure from domestic violence. She's currently taking medications, Zoloft for depression, meloxicam for anti-inflammatory, and tramadol for pain. She states that she's ready to do her probation now with this petition, if granted. In her personal statement, Ms. Jobin stated that she was previously placed on probation, but, quote, didn't want to do the terms of probation, close quote. She had done her, quote, time, close quote, with the criminal courts for the crime that she was charged with. She goes on to describe the prior relationship, which she's no longer in. She does submit a character reference from a client where she's a live-in nurse and cares for him. And he states for the last 2 years doing household duties, doctor's appointments, and cares for him. And he said she's a, quote, great nurse, close quote. At the appropriate time, I'm prepared to ask questions.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Jobin, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury? Okay, you may give a statement.
Thank you, first of all, for hearing me today. I was initially, when my license was revoked, I was going through some issues, and that we all know that. And I had 6 years sobriety when I came here in 2011. I had a hearing for you guys, and you reinstated my license. I was very excited. It took a while to get that paperwork processed, in which I went through a nurse refresher course, like she said, and all that. Took my test again. I was all ready to go to work. I got my terms of probation, and all I can say honestly is I was overwhelmed. I already did time for a crime I didn't commit, but here I was again doing time, it felt like, after being sober for all these years. So I don't know if I can tell, I know this is a televised hearing for the nursing students and people that are going, that are hearing this publicly, but am I allowed to say what my terms were, what was required? I had to, because I don't think anybody knows that. I know that we're put on probation, but I had to call in every morning and to see if I was to be drug tested, and I had until 5 o'clock to do so every single day. I had to buy the forms in advance, which were $50 per form. Then I had to pay $50 to be tested. So that was basically, I don't know how many times a month I would be tested, but minimal, that was a $200 fee a month that I was going to have to sustain. Also, I had to work 20 hours in a facility, and mind you, I had a history on my background. And then here I am on probation. I was a little nervous thinking no one would even hire me because I'm on probation. So I wasn't aware of that at the time. I have to fly to Sacramento also to meet with the probation officer. So I was really overwhelmed. And as honest as I can say, I couldn't do it. I felt like I couldn't do it. And I let my dreams, my goals, and my aspirations go when I surrendered my license. It was literally immediately after I surrendered my license, I started drinking again. And I did not drink. It wasn't like I went and drank because I was upset. I went to Cabo San Lucas and I got a non-alcoholic beer. And they don't do the bottles differently like they do in the States. All the bottles look the same. They're clear. They do like a dark bottle for O'Doul's here in California. But I got a non-alcoholic beer. I drank it. And after I drank it, I felt really funny and went, oh my gosh, and kind of looked at the bottle and went, oh, I made a mistake. And my husband pretty much said, well, it's okay. You know what? It's okay. We'll just drink on vacation. And one thing led to another. I was drinking full time again, and it took 2 years for my divorce and my life to go astray. So I didn't think that would happen to me because I was very passionate about my sobriety. I had 7 years and I went out. I have 2 years and 4 months right now. And I feel like the first time that I was put on probation and had to go to AA and all those things, that I was made to do that. This time that I got sober was on my own. This was by choice. And honestly, when you're in the AA family and you go out and you have a relapse, it's not fun anymore. You feel depressed. It's one thing you're drinking, but you lost your sobriety date. You have to start over again. So I've been down that road. I have a good story to tell, a testimony for people that are struggling also, because when you go out, you're so devastated by it, and a lot of alcoholics don't return to AA. And I'm a good source for them to say it can be done. And I'm here now, and I have 2.5 years almost. And if my nursing license is reinstated, I will do anything you say for probation. I'll call twice a day if I have to. Any terms that you put me on, I'm willing to do that. Definitely. And I feel really bad that I surrendered my license. It was a bad decision.
Thank you. Do the board members have any questions? Let's start with Mr. Ma.
Good afternoon. I just want to know if I understood your story correctly, that your sobriety date is in 2014 because after you received the board decision, it made you feel depressed, and you chose then to drink a non-alcoholic drink, or your intention was to drink a non-alcoholic drink, but it turned out to be an alcoholic drink. Is that correct?
I wasn't drinking for tension. I was in Cabo San Lucas, and I just ordered a non-alcoholic beer, and which I have done in the past. But it was by accident that I did start drinking again. But when you're in AA and after I drank that first one, I had another one. And that was fully by choice and, my mistake.
I wonder why, and maybe why do you choose to drink a alcoholic-like beer when you know you have had a problem with alcohol in the past?
That's a good question. I didn't feel like a non-alcoholic beer would make me want to drink again. It doesn't give you any, you don't feel a buzz or anything like that. I was just going to have one. So it was just to have one. It wasn't for any other reason. It wasn't. I didn't really feel 100% like an alcoholic in the beginning because I was ordered to get sober, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Then when I did go back out, I realized, yes, in fact, even though I knew I was a little bit of an alcoholic, it was straight in my face now. You can't drink no matter what. Not one, not two. You are, born and bred an alcoholic.
Do you feel comfortable drinking, I'll call it non-alcohol in scare quotes, because there's a very small amount of alcohol, as I understand it, in non-alcoholic beverages, or can be. Is that a beverage of your choice still today?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay. You made a comment twice that you had already done time or some kind of punishment for something you didn't commit. Could you clarify what you mean by that?
I had a very bad divorce go through, and it was financially. So the charges that were brought against me were lies. And unfortunately, I had to take a plea bargain rather than go to trial. So, yes, I didn't do the crime that I was punished for.
And so when you said you had to take the plea bargain, what were you thinking about at the time about that?
The judge, I was going to trial. The judge, literally the day that trial was supposed to start, ordered me and the district attorney to get out of his courtroom and make a deal, and he was not going to allow me to go to trial because of the charges that were pending.
So I won't pursue that area intentionally, but I will say a stipulated decision to me in concept is kind of like a plea bargain from my point of view. So
And why I didn't take a plea bargain in the beginning, there would have never been a felony if I would have taken.
So I'm a public member and not a lawyer, but my sense is that a stipulated decision is something that you voluntarily agree to, and you didn't have to agree to the stipulated decision. Is that a true statement?
Yes.
Yeah. But what you're telling us now is that you have regret in agreeing to the stipulated settlement.
Absolutely.
Because the underlying charges against you in a legal sense didn't have a lot of merit. Okay. So what would happen if the board this time denied your petition? What kind of state would that put you in?
You know, I know not to expect the worst, hope for the best. You did reinstate me before, so my hopes are high that you reinstate again and give me the opportunity to finish your terms of probation. If you deny me, I believe I will start fresh and just go straight to RN without having an LVN base to start with.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions.
Bronstein?
I have no questions at this time, thank you.
Dr. Bass de Martinez?
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
We've read your document, your statement, and as I listen to you now, help us as a board distinctly understand what's different about you at this time than before. What happened that made you see the light, so to say, or change the way you view probation?
When you say before, you mean when I was reinstated and I
Yes.
was looking at the terms? I was in a marriage and I worked full time out of my home office for a construction company at that time, and I was needed 24 hours a day at my home. My husband at the time was there with me, and I was married, so I was in a committed relationship, and I had to take his opinion into consideration. At this time, it's just me, only me. There won't be anybody influencing my decisions, and that is a huge difference. I need to stand on my own 2 feet and be able to, be a contributing member of society, and I don't have a home-based business or a husband that I'm working for. It's just me, myself, and I. So that's a big difference.
And that has, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that has changed your view of this opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, the terms of probation, I don't have to clear with anybody else. When I was in the relationship, those terms were not appealing to him more so than me. So I had to, because I was in a relationship, I had to take that into consideration. He wasn't on board with that. I was running his office full time, and he did not want me to work out of the house. He was thinking I could do my own home health business, which I already had that planned at the time. I didn't realize I wasn't able to do that being on probation. Now I understand that. It's gonna be hard to even get a job. I know now what to expect and what is required of me. Back then I had no idea that I was gonna have to do that again. I mean, go through the whole probation and, because I had already done it. I was on probation for 3 years. I saw a probation officer, and knowing that it can be done, I would be done. I mean, I would be done with probation now if I would have done that. So the situation is different because number one, I'm not in a relationship, and number two, now I know what to expect, and I've had almost 4 years to think about it.
When you responded, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly, that I'm not in a relationship now. Does that mean if you were to be in a different relationship, might not accept if probationary standards?
It doesn't mean that. It's just I have had an issue with codependency, and I'm working on that now. And on a personal note, I will never get married, and I will not be in another relationship. I've gone through too many already to know that I don't make good choices, and I give too much of myself in a relationship that I give so much that I leave myself out, so to speak. And I know that now. So my commitment's to myself only. So there won't be another relationship.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. So I'm reading through your packet here, and there was some mention of the original charge, which was supplying marijuana to a minor. And that's a really serious charge. And I hear you say it was just a lie, but I need you to help me understand a little bit how that could have come about. Were there some circumstances in your life that made that someone to be suspicious of that? I mean, how does such a serious charge come about totally false?
My ex-husband called the police and made these accusations, and they filed 4 felonies, and I didn't know for 2 years because I was in an abusive relationship and literally was in hiding for 2 years.
And then I've heard you talk about addiction that you've had to alcohol. Was there also marijuana involved? Was there marijuana in the house?
No. Marijuana was in the house. I found marijuana in my stepson's room. And I said, you need to be, we need to drug test you. We need to do this. And my husband at the time, because I have a history of abusive relationships, caused a huge argument between the two of us. And we had the amount of $400,000 in equity in our house. And
That's sort of where it stemmed from, is your stepson did actually have marijuana.
Yes, he did.
That's what it stemmed from.
yes.
And then on page A1, the very first page of your petition, it says, explain fully the reason your license was revoked. And if you look at page A1, the only thing you put is, I have already given over process of, and then in really bold letters underlined, reinstatement. I'm not sure what that answer means.
There was about a 4-page essay that I wrote for my for the petition for reinstatement that I was heard the one when I was reinstated. So I figured we already went through that. I've already been reinstated. Now we're dealing with this time.
This is a new hearing.
This is just, I was reinstated. I proved myself. My license was given back, but I surrendered it to you, just not wanting to do the terms of probation. So I didn't elaborate on that. And that's why I said, if you want to go back and read from the first petition, it's all there. And I didn't think I needed to repeat myself as the only reason I said I did that.
So that's what you were referring to.
That's what I was referring to, because it was a long letter. And when I was in the hearing before, when it was reinstated, the first thing that you were explaining to me is, don't go over anything we've already heard. We have the paperwork. So I was just dealing with here and now. He gave it back stupidly enough, and by all means, a very bad choice. I surrendered it. Bad choice.
You do understand, though, that because it was reinstated and not all these board members, where it's a different board now.
Okay, I did not realize that.
So you do understand that it won't automatically be given back to you, right? The board will have to deliberate, and there's a possibility they could vote no.
I do now. And I did not realize that we were going back to my previous, from the beginning, or else I would have elaborated on that.
And then could you tell me your sobriety date?
My sobriety used to be May 19th,
Your current
2005, but I started over June 23rd, 2014.
And I noticed in your packet it says that you don't currently have a sponsor. Is there a reason?
I have so many people in my life. It's all my friends are AA. All my friends. I've had a sponsor. I've done my steps. I have so many people around me that my sponsor is an everyday talking about my problems and things like that. And I don't feel at this time it's necessary for God willing that it never happened again. If I should have a trigger or something, the first thing that I would do is get a sponsor and start all over again. But like I said, this time was by choice. I mean, honestly, by choice. This is a lifestyle that I need to live, and I need to be in it every single day.
If you could help me with the timing, you stated that you were in Cabo San Lucas and you had an alcoholic beverage. What was the time frame between that period and then June 23rd, 2014? How long did you continue after your trip to Cabo San Lucas, continuing to drink?
It was that time that I went on vacation. We would travel to Cabo San Lucas every 2 to 3 months and stay for 3 weeks. So this was we were actually thinking about buying property there and stuff like that. And that was another reason why having to call in every day to be drug tested was going to be a little difficult for me also. When I went to Cabo and we ended up drinking, which that was completely my bad, my husband and I decided, well, we'll just drink when we're on vacation. So I had beers when I was in Cabo. I would come home, live my life, everything would be great. Well, then we would go on vacation and I would drink. It started like that, and very quickly it became to drinking at home. And that's when I knew this is bad. I need to get back to my AA.
When was that? When did you first travel to Cabo San Lucas? When was that?
It was in
the date?
2012.
Okay.
I had celebrated my 7th year of sobriety. It was about roughly 2 years I was drinking before I got sober again.
And why is it on June the 23rd, 2014, did you make that decision to not pursue drinking alcohol anymore? Was that on that day? Did it lead up to that? Walk me through that process, please.
Well, I had been in an abusive relationship, and I had stated that I had a grand mal seizure because of my head trauma. And it took a while after my seizure to realize that the reason that I had that, first of all, was the head trauma. I didn't realize it at first till I put 2 and 2 together, which is bad because I'm a nurse. I should have known that. It was April 14th that I left my house, and I left with no belongings. I still have no belongings. Like, those are left. It was April, May, June that I had thoughts of suicide because I had nothing. And I know that's not good because I'm a Christian, and that was the turning point when I knew I had to get sober because it wasn't helping. Drinking wasn't helping, and that's why June 23rd was April, May, June, and I was drinking every day, and I knew this is bad. This is not good for me. So I took it upon myself without any support system and went on my own, and I've been going on my own ever since. And it's different now. It's completely different from the first time. Although I've successfully did 7 years, it wasn't. I mean, it was with my whole heart, but now it's a different feeling. I know who I am as an alcoholic.
You stated that one of the triggers in you drinking again was the decision that the board made, and then you went to Cabo San Lucas and then engaged in drinking. Since your sobriety date of 2014, can you speak to us? Have you been through any adversity since that date, where you've been tested and you've overcome and you've maintained your sobriety?
Oh, I've had a lot of health problems. I've had mass, a tumor that I've found was benign now. I go to court all the time for my divorce and have yet to be given any of my belongings. I haven't been paid anything, so I've had a lot of turmoil since and remained sober, and it's the only way I can stand here before you today, with integrity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Chauvin, some of my colleagues have asked questions that I was planning to ask, but I just want to get a little clarification. We gave you probation. Were approximately 1820 requirements. One of them being you had to be tested. And if you get if you grant the license back, you're going to have them. Probably since it's since you were on probation, we've had to modify the requirements. So they're going to be probably more stringent.
I realized somebody had 5 years probation.
That's just length of time. Just talk about the sheer number.
Okay.
So it's going to be more stringent, a little bit more tougher. Because it's been a while, the cost of your testing will probably, or has gone up. What support or coping mechanism do you have in place to help you meet these obligations? Because we are going to put requirements on you. We have to ensure the safety of the public. It's going to be more expensive. It's going to be more, I won't say strict, but more strenuous on you. What coping mechanisms do you have to deal with it? Because last time you said, I can't deal with it more. You threw your hands up and gave us your license back. So how are you going to keep that from occurring again?
Well, first, I honestly, I exercise every day. I do mindful meditation. I have a lot of friends. Like, actually, the only people that I do associate with are either my AA ladies or my Bible study group ladies. They're very supportive and they know me. So within an open-hearted, this is me, this is you. So if anyone ever noticed any changes with me, I would be called out on my stuff. But I also have so many tools that I know, there's a chain of command. You call somebody in AA and they come running. If I have a weak moment, you make a phone call and it makes all the difference. I have lots of support. I'm in a live-in situation right now, and it is a sober environment with someone that used to be an addict. And there's a secretary that comes into my work every day too, who has psychology background. So she's my support system on a daily basis, which I'm very blessed to have. So I have a lot of people in my life. I have big shoes to fill. My son is a pastor, and I'm going to be a grandma in January. So with that mindset and knowing that I need to be the best I can possibly be. So I do not see myself going out drinking again for any reason. I've been through all the trials and tribulations. So
With the increased cost of the test, in your statement you say you paid the cost once and you're paying it again. You did when the president of the board asked you something similar. How are you going to be able to, will you be able to support yourself and pay the fees necessary for the monitoring?
it will definitely be a struggle. But when there's a will, there's a way. I will make sure, I know now. So I've saved up a little bit of money for at least my first month in hopes that you will reinstate it. But it is expensive. I don't think the nursing students know. It's $50 just for the form. And then I have to, pay. So it's $100 every time to be tested. It is expensive. Yes, I know that. And I know now. So I will plan ahead.
Well, I believe it's more than $50, $100 for a test.
Wow.
So
You mean for the forms that you're sending out?
But just each test is now almost estimated about $200 each. So that's why I'm asking. I said things have gone up.
Wow.
So that's what, it's going to be, you're going to be tested to see if you can make it through each month, and you have to be tested.
Absolutely.
Specifically because of the reason why you did lose your license. So that's why I was asking about a support. And we gave this to you once, and you gave it back to us. Now you're asking for it again. And I personally want to know, how committed are you going to be? Because our job is to make sure that we produce, or only people with integrity, professionalism, and competence, safe nursing should have their license. And you felt that you weren't capable, and you gave it back to us. So I'm trying to figure out what's changed.
Well, the money, first of all, was a combined, my husband didn't want to pay that. I don't have anybody else paying. It's my money, and it will go to what I want it to. And if it all goes to the testing, so be it.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
I have to commend you for recognizing that the first time you were directed to get sober and this time you did it on your own. But I'm a little bit concerned about your mental state of mind and if you can make the jump from, because you were reinstated before, really has nothing to do with reinstating you again. And you have only 2.5 years sober since your last one. I sense, and I could be mistaken, but you write in bold letters, you use exclamation points. There seems to be an anxiousness. Is that just who you are, or are you still working through that? And how will you work through the added responsibility of testing, finding a job, and dealing with it on a day-to-day basis? Because that's what you would need to do in order, if you did get your reinstatement back.
Right. I am a very loud, I'm not loud, I'm boisterous, exclamation point after my name would actually sum it up. It's always who I am. And I was under the impression, yes, you've given it to me before, and that was a huge mess, a huge court thing that I had to endure and go through. I didn't realize this time was going to be focused, just that I surrendered it. I didn't realize I was going back. So that was poor judgment on my part, assuming that because you gave it to me before, you would give me another chance. I definitely would have written more than what I did, because if you see, my packet is very short and sweet, to the point. My mindset now is, this is about me, this is about my life and my future, and I was born to be a nurse. That's what I'm best at, is caring for others and making them feel good. Sometimes to the point where it's my downfall, that it takes away from who I am. I get the joy from taking care of others, and that's the one thing that I'm working on. I have to take care of myself and then take care of others, and that's what I'm actually, for the codependency aspect.
So do you think that you have replaced codependency with relationships and with alcohol? Would you replace it with a codependency with your patients? Or are you in therapy regarding codependency? Because I see a lot of nurses that are somewhat codependent upon their patients.
Well, it's a codependency in a relationship. I've never lived on my own or taken care of myself. I've always been in a relationship, and I'm always in an abusive relationship, which women tend to do that. And knowing that, I'm not going to be in another relationship. And it's been 2.5 years since I haven't been with my husband, and every single day I get stronger. I know I can do it. I mean, it's hard. I was a 10-year relationship. I was just freshly by myself and scared to death. And now it's been 2.5 years, and I know I can do this. I could do this. I could do it even better if someone said, "What do you do?" I'm a nurse, to give me that extra confidence and knowing that I'm doing what I was supposed to do.
So besides the board putting you on probation, what other triggers do you have? that will cause you to go into a tailspin?
I didn't hear that last part.
What other triggers do you have? You said that one thing that triggered you to drink again was the board decision, but what other triggers?
You know, I don't think if you denied my, I know for certain if you denied my reinstatement, I would not go to drinking. Absolutely not. So I'm sorry for even putting that, because a few of you had mentioned that. It's just something that I feel like I got back, I was standing on my own 2 feet, and because I was in a relationship, I was influenced to make a bad decision, which I take upon myself. I made a bad decision, and I can, oh, you don't need them. I'll build you a nursing home. You don't need to be a nurse to live your goals. We don't need them. No one needs to tell you what to do. I don't have that now. A trigger for me is not having my stuff. So I have triggers every day. Every day. I'm sorry. I have triggers every day. Like I wake up and I don't have my belongings or anything like that. So I've endured 2.5 years of that. I don't know what more could trigger me. And if I did, I would seek help.
Thank you.
Ricky?
Yes. One of the reasons is you are probably, I'm sure you're aware that the program is so successful.
The program's supposed to what?
The program is so successful for thousands and thousands of people is an element of accountability. And that level of accountability extends both to the group and then individually. So my concern here is, given your relatively short period of sobriety, that you don't have a sponsor. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, I do have a sponsor on a daily basis. The someone that I talk to, I've already done the steps. Somebody that I've talked to, a sponsor makes you accountable. But I have someone who is my sponsor. She's just not an AA. She was a former probation officer, and she has a background in psychology as well. That is my sponsor. She gives me so much that I'm not seeking somebody actually with the label of sponsor in the AA.
How long have you been associated with this person then?
Since I was a child.
Oh, okay. I have nothing else, Your Honor.
Okay. And Ms. Bergmeyer, do you have anything further?
I do. You repeatedly refer to yourself as being codependent, but nowhere on your petition are you seeking counseling. Why is that? How can you?
I am seeing a counselor. I was waiting for an approval on my health insurance, so I have not gotten an approval yet for that. So I have what? I was waiting, and I just got my approval, through the insurance to cover that.
What insurance is it?
Gold Coast.
And what is the approval? What type of counseling? How often? Your copay? Tell us more about that.
I don't know. I just got my approval. Don't know yet. And I did seek counseling before, a marriage counselor, a few times. I didn't put that on my petition because it's been a couple of years since I've been there.
You need to speak up. You're trailing off at the end.
It's been a couple of years since I've been to the marriage counselor.
So let's talk about your petition. You've been asked many questions by the board members, and you've repeated yourself, well, I didn't think I had to put it on here. I mean, do you realize this is your opportunity to more or less sell yourself to the board to convince them that you've been rehabilitated and you're safe to practice? I mean, did you realize that that's why you're here today?
I did realize that's why I was here today. I just didn't think I needed to go over anything that was already, that I just, literally, I've done a reinstatement packet. I've had all, my references on that. I gave a drug test. I had a physical. I got my chest x-ray. I did all those. I just did all those things. Didn't think that was needed to be re-said. That's the only reason I didn't put it in there. So that's, my mistake. I guess I'll have to live with.
So that could be characterized as another poor judgment on your
It could
part.
be.
What age were you when you started drinking alcohol?
16.
What was your alcoholic beverage of choice?
Beer.
And what was your pattern? You said that you just told us you started drinking alcohol at 16. At some point, you started the beginning of your first sobriety period of 7 years. So how many years were you drinking until you got to the first sobriety period?
I was from 16 years old to 32.
So approximately 16 years.
Yes.
Alcohol. Was that on a daily basis?
No.
How
No,
often?
I would drink on the weekends.
Was beer still your alcoholic
Yes.
beverage of choice?
And Ms. Jobin, let her get the question all the way out before you answer,
Okay.
please.
Also, I think she shook her head. I'm not sure she verbally said an answer to that last time.
Yes.
So then, what led to your decision the first time to seek sobriety?
I was court ordered.
That was the underlying conviction in this case?
Yes.
Okay.
But I was court ordered to do an outpatient treatment, and I elected to do an inpatient treatment voluntarily. So for my first 30 days of sobriety, I was living in a sober home.
Okay. Now, you've said several times that you didn't commit the crime, but do you realize that when you plead to a crime, you committed it? I mean, you're convicted. You pled, you're convicted. You understand?
Guilty, yes. Yes.
You tell us a little bit more about this seizure and your head trauma. How often do you have them? When did you
I
have
had
it?
one. I had one only. And that was March 23rd, 2014.
And at that time, did you seek medical care and treatment?
I went to the hospital. My license was suspended. I had a head CAT scan, MRI. I had 3 EEGs done. My driver's license was suspended.
And at that time, is that when you first started taking Zoloft? And
No, I didn't start taking Zoloft. I've been taking it maybe 7 months.
for depression?
The doctor said yes.
But is
I think he gave me Zoloft before he referred me to therapy.
how much Zoloft do you take per day?
50 milligrams in the morning. 50 milligrams in the morning.
And then you stated on your application you take meloxicam, and what is that one for?
Meloxicam is an anti-inflammatory.
Arthritis? And the
I'm
tramadol.
sorry, was that yes? I didn't hear.
Yes.
You. Thank you.
And what do you take tramadol for?
Pain. But I'm not taking that anymore. I'm doing physical therapy twice a week.
Then there's been some discussion here about money. Things cost a lot. So how are you able to do physical therapy? That cost money?
I have an approval. My insurance approved it.
What is the tramadol for? Pain of
I have a tear in my labrum also from the domestic abuse.
With the fact that you're taking the Zoloft, the meloxicam, and the tramadol, if you still take that periodically, how would that impact you in practicing as a vocational nurse?
I don't think it would affect me. I don't think the tramadol for pain, I can't remember the last time I took that, but the doctor wants me to take the anti-inflammatory every night, regardless. I don't think that would affect my job in any way.
As you sit here today, do you have any arrests pending against you in California or any other jurisdiction?
No.
As you sit here today, do you have any criminal charges against you in California or any other state?
No.
Do you believe you have an alcohol addiction then?
Yes.
In your documentation, you stated at one point that you go to AA for others, but why don't you go for yourself?
I go for myself and for others, the new people that come in, to tell my testimony. Because I have quite a struggle in my life. I have quite a story to tell. And I find that when I go there and I do tell my story, which is not easy to do, I get a lot of people coming up to me afterwards, saying, thank you for sharing your story. It means a lot. So what I tell myself is, even though I don't need to go for myself, like I'm feeling strong, I go for them.
Okay. So you're familiar with the 12 steps.
Yes.
What's the fourth step?
Making amends. All your wrongdoings.
My list says it's making a searching and fearless moral inventory of yourself.
And by doing that, you have to make your amends with.
How many times
with
have you done the 12 steps?
I think I did them, and I started to do them twice and stopped short of doing them all. So I've only gone through the whole 12 steps once.
Okay, what's step 10?
I can't tell you off.
My list states it's continue to take personal inventory and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. So as you sit here today, you don't really know the steps. Is that right?
They're in front of me at all times, and I read them rather than memorize them.
Your employer wrote a letter that you're a good nurse, but you don't have a nurse license. Why would he say you're a good nurse?
It's just how I am when someone's sick. Oh, Jessica, I just nurse by nature. Oh, any medical questions, everyone refers to me.
Do you have a certified nurse assistant
No.
certificate?
No.
No further questions at this time.
Do any of the board members have any additional questions?
So currently you have a valid prescription for the tramadol? Have you had to?
No, I don't have a prescription right now because I'm not taking them, but I did in the past, yes.
Okay, so you
I have
don't
a
take
prescription,
it,
yes.
and you don't.
And I don't need it, so I don't take it.
Okay.
I did a few months ago when I filled out the petition.
Okay, and I know we touched on marijuana, but can you talk about a history, or do you have a history of other chemical dependency?
I do not.
Okay. When you've made statements earlier like, I don't make good choices, I'm sorry for putting that, speaking of when you were writing items, I've always been in abusive relationships. You've touched on how some of that has changed in your life, but when you say, I don't make good choices, how have you really taken an active role in making better choices or good choices or positive steps?
I do, a daily reflection on who I am and where I'm going. I've refrained from any outside male companionship, and I've just tried to I don't know how to say this. I'm not very good at being married. I've tried it 3 times, and when people ask me on dates now, I just say no, and that's a huge thing.
So not making good choices is more specific to that area of your life?
That's what I meant, and choosing men to be around because it ends in abuse, and it has over and over again, and that's kind of like the light went off. Hello, you're not making good choices here.
Okay, one last thing. You said you kind of got a joy or a good feeling, and you wanted to be able to say, when somebody said, "What do you do?" I'm a nurse. You wanted, if somebody were to ask you today, "What do you do?" What do you tell them?
What I do right now is I take care of a 5,000 square foot house and an 1.5 acre orchard is what I do right now. And I take care of, my job is live-in housekeeper, you know, and the homeowner, my boss, has a skin disorder, Haley pemphigus. It's highly, I mean, it's not common. Not too many people have it, and I've done a lot of research on that with it's blistering of the skin for no apparent reason. So I've gotten really good at educating myself with this disease.
I think you have no other questions.
And I do, and I have reference letters also from my boss.
Have any additional questions? And Ms. Bergmeyer, anything further?
No.
Okay, Ms. Jobin, do you have any additional witnesses or evidence that you want the board to consider before we conclude today?
I do.
Okay, can you bring up here what you have? And do you have copies for everybody? Okay. But they're all identical packets? Okay.
I don't have a set.
Oh. Bring one for Ms. Bergmeyer as well.
I made 14. They told me to make 14 copies.
Okay, and would you like to have these marked and admitted?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mark them first, and then Ms. Bergmeyer, I'll let you look through, and you can let me know whether or not you have any objections. So the first document I'm going to mark as Respondents A, which is a letter from Austin Edwards. A letter from Dennis Brent, B-R-E-N-T. It is a letter from David McQueen, and that's M-C-Q-U-E-E-N. Is a letter from Rachel Resnick, R-E-S-N-I-C-K -Miles, M-I-L-E-S. Is a letter from Amanda Mosby, M-O-S-B-Y. And F is a letter from Russell Deary, D-E-A-R-Y. Bergmeyer, let me know when you've had a chance to
Okay,
look
I'll
through.
try to skim very quickly. I just have a couple of questions. I skimmed fast, so I just have a couple of questions.
Okay, and do you have any objection to them being admitted? Or did you want to
not
ask
as
her?
if they're admitted as administrative hearsay, that's fine.
Okay, so they're going to be admitted as administrative hearsay, and you can go ahead and ask your questions.
Okay. When was the last time you shared a home with your son, Austin Edwards? And this is Exhibit A. What?
I'm sorry, can you speak up a
He
little
was
bit?
17 years old. He's 24 now.
Okay, so about 7 years ago. He doesn't mention your alcoholism or alcohol issues in his letter. Do you know why he would fail to include something so important?
I think it's more important for me, not him. My alcoholism was refrained from him.
So you hid your alcoholism from your son when you were living in
It
the same
didn't
home?
affect my parenting skills.
I'm not talking about parenting skills. I'm talking about use of alcohol.
Yes.
Did you hid your alcohol use when you lived with your son?
I didn't hide it.
Did he know about it?
He did.
Then the second letter, Exhibit B, appears to be your current employer.
Yes.
Does he know about your alcoholism? And so that's not included in the letter either. Exhibit C is a letter from David McQueen. He claims that he worked with you from 1999 to 2000. So that was 1 year that you worked together 16 years ago?
Yes. But we are still friends and talk on a monthly basis.
And he does not mention your alcoholism. Did he know about it?
He does. I think he writes in there, I'm sober 2.5 years. And I go, no,
yeah.
not yet. Not until
I'm sorry
December.
about that. It's in the last paragraph, so sorry about that. Then the next letter, Rachel Resnick Miles, Exhibit D. She's known you since a child. So is she of your same age group, or is she your mom or dad's age group, or what?
She's 10 years older, and she is what I would consider my sponsor. She's a former probation officer and has a background in psychology, so she's my sponsor.
But she does not have alcohol issues.
No, she does not.
And have you ever known her to have alcohol issues?
No.
So she is your sponsor without knowing the AA program and...
Well, she knows it because she was a probation officer, so she's been educated in it.
And she also does not mention your alcohol issues in this letter. At least I'm skimming fast. I hope I don't... Does she mention it? Oh, sorry about that. I'm just reading it too fast, so I'm sorry about that. So, okay, she mentions it. And who is Amanda Mosby other than 24th Congressional District Finance Assistant?
That is my little sister.
And in her letter, she, unless I'm missing it, she doesn't say she's your sister.
I don't know if she did.
Did she know about your alcohol issues?
She does, and she calls me all the time because she's in college in Santa Barbara and she has tons of questions.
And she doesn't mention it as far as I can tell. I'm sorry.
I think these are more character witnesses.
Well, you would have to admit that if people know about your alcohol issues,
Sure,
it would be good
sure.
to comment on if they see you clean and sober, right? You have
Well,
to
next
admit
time
that.
I get reference letters, I'll remember to tell them, make sure they include that.
And I have no comment on the last letter, email, and so thank you.
Okay. Before we conclude then, do any of the board members have additional questions based on the letters?
The first letter is from Austin Edwards as your son.
Yes.
Is that the same person who you were charged with giving marijuana to?
No.
Questions? And anything further, Ms. Bergemeyer?
No.
Anything further, Ms. Jobin?
I would just like to apologize from not starting from the beginning and assuming that we didn't have to go over the same thing twice. I really do apologize. If I would have known, you would have gotten another 6-page essay, so I do apologize. Maybe you can go back and read my first petition when you did reinstate it if you have any questions about that. But thank you for your time.
All right, the matter is submitted. We're off the record. Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and take a brief 10-minute recess. We'll be back for the next case at... Oh, Ms. Jobin, if you wait for 1 second, she's got some paperwork for you. But otherwise, we'll go ahead and take a break and we'll reconvene at 2:10. Actually, I think we can do. We are on the record before the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians. It's November 3rd, 2016. It's approximately 2:07 in the afternoon. This hearing is regarding the petition for reinstatement of Cedric Knox Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 2016-090-894. My name is Joy, Joy Redmond, Redmon. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings. All board members have returned, and we have a quorum. Ms. Bergemeyer, if you would please state and spell your name again for the record.
I'm Leslie Bergemeyer, LeslieBurgerMyer. I'm a Deputy Attorney General appearing on behalf of the people of the state pursuant to Government Code Section 11522.
Thank you. And Mr. Knox, can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Cedric Knox, Cedric, Knox, Knox.
Thank you. And Mr. Knox, you were present this morning when we went over the different rights and responsibilities related to the hearing today. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you have any questions about any of those?
No.
And you understand that you had the right to be represented by counsel today? And was that yes?
Yes.
And you made the decision to proceed on your own behalf?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Ms. Bergemeyer?
Thank you. I would like to have marked for identification and offer into evidence Exhibit 1, the original petition packet with accompanying documents. The board members and petitioner have previously been provided with copies of this same exhibit. May I approach?
Thank you.
Exhibit 1 consists of 5 sections. Section A is the petition for reinstatement and supporting documents. Section B is the license certification. Section C is the notice of hearing and related correspondence. Section D is the 2010 board decision. Section E is the 2007 board decision. And at this time, I offer the packet into evidence.
Okay, Mr. Knox, do you have any objection to that?
No.
Okay, it's admitted.
Okay, so then a summary of the case and license history. Vocational nurse license number 177606 was issued to Mr. Knox in July of 1996. In October of 2006, and the board filed an accusation against the petitioner on the grounds that he falsified, made incorrect, inconsistent, or unintelligible entries in patient or hospital records, and that he obtained, possessed, and self-administered controlled substances. The controlled substances at issue are Vicodin and hydromorphone, and he stole the controlled substances from his jobs working as a LVN at 2 different hospitals. And then there were related charges, including dishonest act. He admitted at some point during the case that he diverted the drugs for himself. In 2007, the board there was a proposed decision that was effective December 16th, 2007, as the board's decision and order on the accusation. After the hearing, there was standard terms and conditions plus all of the appropriate substance abuse provisions. There was an aggravating act apparently introduced at the hearing, 2007 conviction that was for stealing drugs. $12,000 was ordered as cost recovery. Then in 2009, there was another accusation and a petition to revoke probation against the petitioner. And the accusation was for a conviction for driving with a suspended license. The petition to revoke probation was grounded on numerous failures. I'm not going to repeat each one. It looks like he may not have complied with any of them, but there were so many. The license expired in April of 2010. Then in August of 2010, the board adopted a default decision and order on the grounds that Mr. Knox did not submit a notice of defense. His license was revoked effective September of 2010, and the costs of $12,000 cost recovery pursuant to the 2007 decision and order were still unpaid. This petition for today's hearing was filed in June of 2016. In the petition for reinstatement, Mr. Knox admitted that his license was revoked for drug-related diverting narcotics from the Pyxis for personal use while employed at 2 different hospitals. It looks like he has had no employment for the past 6 years. He does have a certificate for substance abuse counseling. He's been in rehabilitation program, looks like 6 months from February 2011 through late August of 2011 at New Bridge Foundation in Berkeley. He did submit a letter certifying his attendance, and it described his program. January 20th, 2006 is Mr. Knox's sobriety date. He has a sponsor. He goes to meetings 3 to 4 times a week. He has therapy, he mentions as group and weekly. He has a sciatica problem with his leg. He takes Motrin, and for cholesterol issues, he takes Lipitor. He describes his personal growth as going to San Francisco State University and the drug addiction programs and how it impacts your brain. He wants to be reinstated. He wants to help others with prescription addictions. And he did submit several letters of reference, including academic counselors, a pastor, AANA member that verifies attendance. He has at the time of this petition, he had a conditional acceptance to San Francisco State University. There are other schools, Merritt and Peralta College documents. One is a transcript. So at the appropriate time, I'm prepared to ask questions.
Mr. Knox, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you may make a statement.
Okay, I guess I'll start with when my license was initially put on probation, and I didn't comply with any of it, and that's because I really didn't.
I want to make sure you put the microphone all the way to your mouth.
I didn't take into account how difficult it was going to be coming off of opiate withdrawals. I thought I could do it, but I couldn't do it. I mean, all I could do, the most I could do was go to meetings, and come home and sit on the couch and just rest. My body was just, so it took me a while. And also, during this time, my mother, she had early signs of Alzheimer's. At a later time of which I took care of her on a full-time basis. She's not here anymore. So, yeah, I was unable to do anything. In 2009, when my license was revoked by default, I was actually taking care of her at the time and was unable to come to the hearing to see if I could keep my license. So I just let it go. And when I let it go, I had to come to the realization that in my mind, I thought I could never get it back until somebody else told me that I could. So in my mind, it was just gone forever. So I had to think of something else to do. So I had to reinvent. I had to get well. I had to seek spiritual. I had to heal myself spiritually, emotionally, physically, all those different areas. And I got spiritual counseling from my church, Cornerstone Missionary Baptist Church. They helped me out a lot. I stayed in the sober living environment. And then I went into a behavioral modification program, New Bridge, to really address the addictions, because you can even though you don't do the drug anymore, there's still the behaviors that you have to address. The lying, the lies you told to get the drugs, the fact that I stole the drugs, all these things have to be addressed in my behavior. So I did that by going to New Bridge, and then after I got out of New Bridge, I started going to school, and I never stopped. I haven't even worked since then. I've just been going to school full time, and that's pretty much brought me to this day here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Bergmeyer?
Oh, yes. You said that your sobriety date is January 20th, 2006. What steps do you take to maintain your sobriety?
At this current time, I go to school full time. I do meetings. All of my friends, everybody who I know is in recovery. I have no friend. I mean, I have everybody, like my mother. Everybody's like deceased now. My mother, my auntie, everybody, all the adults that I know that were.
I'm going to ask that you slow down just a tiny bit.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We have a court reporter who's taken down everything you're saying.
All I have right now is my brother who's still here, and all of my other friends are just friends in recovery, people who I know in recovery. I went through the 2-year program, Community Social Services Substance Abuse Counseling Program, which I got my AA. I have my degree here. And I met a lot of people in recovery, and they network. You see them all over. Once you get in recovery, you see people all over the place in recovery. You can't go anywhere and don't see anybody in recovery that you know. You see them in the store. You see them everywhere. So that's my life now. I'm currently majoring in psychology at San Francisco State University. I'm a junior, so I have another year to get my bachelor's degree. I plan to go get my master's in clinical psychology. So that keeps me busy. And just the spiritual maintenance, and also the addiction maintenance through AA, that helps me.
What are your triggers for alcohol or drug abuse?
Alcohol's never been my problem. I don't drink. It's just the opiates. The only thing that could really the only way that I see that I could really be in trouble again with opiates is if I get hit by a car or something, and I have to go to the hospital and they have to give me medications. Then I would be concerned. But other than that, I don't have any desire or any reservations about opiates use anymore.
Well, if your license were reinstated and you worked around opiates, how would you handle yourself working around opiates?
Well, it's not like if I wanted opiates, I could get opiates. They're everywhere. So it's not like the only place that I can get them was at work. I mean, if I wanted to go that route and still use, I could very well do that, So, but if I was at work, I mean, I don't think it would be a problem. Personally, I don't think it would be a problem. And furthermore, if I get my license back, I don't plan on doing any floor nursing. I want to get more into like behind the desk type nursing, case management through my license, LVN license. I've seen positions like that, and that's why I'm getting my degree in psychology also. So, yeah.
So in 2010, you allowed your license to lapse. So what was going on in your life in 2010?
I was taking care of my mother full time by myself. She had Alzheimer's, dementia at this point. So it was very tough. And I took care of my mother by myself. And I was unable, I didn't have a car at the time. And my license was suspended at that time. And I couldn't get anybody to watch my mom while I came to the hearing. So I couldn't do it.
Okay. So I believe in your paperwork, your opiate use started because of back pain. Is that right?
Actually, I can trace it back to a toothache I had. And I had a toothache, and I took some Vicodin. I ended up taking maybe about 4 or 5 Vicodin, and I remember how I felt. I felt really good. I felt this warm feeling, and I guess I liked it. And I guess there was an addict in me that liked that feeling, and I wanted to repeat it. And so slowly but surely I did. I would take 2, and then I would, at home or whatever, and then I would go to work, and I would feel okay, and then it just escalated.
Are you taking any prescription medications right now?
Just Motrin, gabapentin.
What is the gabapentin for?
It's for sciatic pain.
Sciatica?
Sciatica, yes, ma'am.
And what is your dosage, and how long have you been taking gabapentin?
Dosages, I take like 600 milligrams twice a day. I've been taking it for like about maybe 2 years now.
Would your sciatica problem interfere with your ability to perform vocational nursing functions?
No, ma'am.
And did you say tramadol or Ultram? You take one of those? You said 2 drugs, and
Motrin and gabapentin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the over-the-counter?
Prescription Motrin.
Okay. And what is that for?
It's for sciatica also.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it'll flare up, and you need an anti-inflammatory to bring it down, so I'll take the Motrin. But other than that, the gabapentin kind of deals with the overall long-term chronic pain.
And then in your package, you disclosed that you participated in 2 inpatient rehabilitation programs.
Correct.
One in 2005, and the second one in 2007 to 2008.
Correct.
Well, maybe three. In 2011, that was a third one? Rehab program ordered by courts?
2011. No, the one that was ordered by court was the first one, 2005.
Oh, five?
Yeah.
Okay. So, did you have any sobriety period from when you completed the rehab program in 2005 until when you went in 2007? Sober from opiates at all?
2007? Where did that come from?
I thought I saw that one.
That was the first time you mentioned 2007.
You went to one in 2011?
2011.
So, if your sobriety date is January 20th, 2006, why were you in a rehab program in 2011?
Well, because like I say, it took me after I left that job where the incident happened. I went immediately to an outpatient program, and they gave me medication. This is an opiate withdrawal, so they had to give me medication for it because it was really severe. And they only give it to you for 5 days. And then I went to like a 30-day outpatient program initially, but my body was still weak and wasn't healed yet. Even after the program, even after that 5-day detox, it's still my body. I was still very tired, and like I say, I was just having a very hard time. I've dealt with homelessness, because I went from making money to making nothing at all. So I've dealt with homelessness. I've dealt with not having any money. I have a son, so I let a lot of people down, and I didn't know what to do. I mean, I just kind of just bumped around. I didn't relapse. I didn't use it. I kind of just bumped around. I stayed with friends. I would stay here and I would stay there because things were. I had a condominium that I had to let go. A lot of things were going on. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took care of my mom, and then I took care of her, and that kind of gave me a steady place to stay and some income.
Okay. So as you sit here today, do you have any arrests against you in California or any other state?
No.
Do you have any pending criminal charges against you in California or any other state?
No.
What are your plans then if your license is reinstated?
Like I said, my plans are to. I'm really not interested because I'm 50 years old. I'm really not interested in floor nursing anymore, pushing a med car. Well, actually, I never really worked in a nursing home. I worked in hospitals, but still, I'm really not interested in doing floor nursing. I'm really interested in getting into like case management or something like that, where I can help people that way.
Are there? Have you looked for job prospects on going directly into case management, or do you have to do floor nursing and then work your way up?
Yeah, I have. I look go online. I look at jobs. I see what's out there, and I've noticed they have jobs like for LVN / drug counselor. I've seen jobs like that. So I've seen things like that. Have I applied for them? No, because I'm going to school for one thing full time, and number two, I don't have a license. So yeah.
What assurances can you give the board that you won't engage in the same behaviors that caused your convictions?
Well, I've dedicated myself to studying behavior. As you can see, I'm a psychology major, so I study behavior. My behavior was bizarre. I was stealing medications from the Pyxis at work and taking care of patients. At the time I was doing that, I wasn't even getting high because when you take opiates for so long, you don't get high anymore. It's just a maintenance thing. It's just so you can feel normal, so you can eat, so you can sleep. If you don't have it, you can't eat, you can't sleep, you can't do anything, you can't function. Period. So can you imagine and I didn't know how to get help. I could have took a leave of absence and say I need to go get help. I could have did a lot of different things, but I didn't. I decided to take drugs, and so and so now that's why I had to pay for it. Your question was what assurances? like I said, and back to what I was saying originally, is that I've dedicated myself and committed myself to studying behavior, and so I've learned so much. The information that I've received on behavior, drug addiction, how our your limbic system and your id and your reward can the drugs take over your reward and pleasure center, and so yeah, I've learned the process about the neurotransmitters, and all that different stuff. And I know what happens to me chemically inside of my brain. And once you learn about these things, it kind of does something to you. I mean, you don't want to go down that road again, because it's not healthy.
I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. How about board members? Mr. Ma?
May I ask to be last?
Okay, sure. Mr. Bronstein?
Sure. Mr. Knox, it sounds like you have a plan set up.
Yes.
But it seems like working as an LVN / case manager, or whatever your desire is, coupled with going to school would be an additional burden. You said you're in school full time right now?
Well, I'm in school full time. If I have my license, I probably work. Because if I get my license, I would work sometime, because you need to work. Not full time. I'll probably work occasionally here and there. Yeah.
Okay. But have you already thought of a plan? You're coming here making your case to get your license back.
Right.
Have you worked out a plan on how you would schedule yourself, or how you would meet the school needs and your work
I have my
needs?
school schedule right here. You can look at it. I know my days. Yeah.
So you have already taken that step to plan how you would be successful as an LVN and with school.
I go to school Monday and Tuesday. I go to school Monday, 4 o'clock to 6. Tuesday, that's my long day. I got a class in the morning and class in the evening on Thursday, and I have a class in the morning on Thursday, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have no firm prospects, but you have looked online and seen the type of job you want available
and the more I go to school, the more marketable I make myself. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Dr. Basta Martinez?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
As you've talked with us and prepared for this presentation, are there at least 2 things you want us as board members to really understand about what makes you different now as compared to when your license was removed?
Oh, well, back then I was a hot mess. I really was. I have a son, and I was working at night, and I was taking the opiates, and I as I look back now, a lot of times, my son wanted to play and I wanted to sleep, and things like that. And so today, I'm drug free. I'm going to school. School is very challenging. Meeting deadlines, doing papers. I'm doing it on a university level at San Francisco State, and it's not easy. I mean, I've even submitted my transcript, and my grade point average was like a 3.29, so I don't think I've done too bad, But before I couldn't have done that. If I would have tried to go to school back then on drugs, I couldn't have done it. So I think I'm accomplishing some things now. I'm moving forward in life. Yeah, I feel like I am.
Thank you.
In the application, you wrote that are you still going to therapy for the drug rehab?
Yes, ma'am. I attend AA meetings. Yeah, I enjoy attending AA meetings. All of my friends. I do it 3-4 times a week.
Currently not working, or have you worked since the license was revoked?
I chose not to work right now. Yeah, I'm just getting my life together.
Chris?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So it sounds like in your life you've been down and you've been successful in bringing yourself back up.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? So I commend you for
Thank you.
coming back and
Thank
going
you.
to school. And the jobs that you talk about, the LVN case manager, LVN drug counselor. They are out there.
They are out
You're
there.
correct. With your school schedule going full time, it's very busy. If you were to be granted a license back and put on probation, you're right, you would have to work as an LVN. And sometimes it's even as much as 20 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
Is that possible for you?
Yes, it's very possible. Yeah. Physically, I'm back to where I was prior to the drug use. Yeah.
You feel like you're able
Physically
to
fit now. Yeah. I have sciatica, but it bothers me. But I know how to live with a little bit of pain nowadays. Yeah.
And then on page A4, you said the meetings that you go to are at In Between Fellowship.
Between Fellowship, International Boulevard, Oakland, California. Yes, ma'am.
But is that is although an AANA type meeting?
That's the AA.
Okay, that's it.
I attend both though. I like 10 AA. A is a different crowd. I chose AA. Yeah.
And you do have a sponsor, you said. What are you working on this week? What are you working on right now with your sponsor?
What am I working on? Okay. I heard the conversation you had with the other girl in here about steps. I don't really get into steps because the behavior modification program I went into, they had the steps up there, but they never really went over it with us. It was about behavioral modification. It was about them blowing up the little things like we do. Like, I'm gonna take an orange. Oh, but did you ask anybody? No, I didn't ask anybody. What are you supposed to ask for that? Little things like that. Behavior modification, and it was really intense. They do things like attack therapy, where they have a person stand up there and the students and the rest of the peers are down here and they're asking you questions about something you did, and they all vote to see if you want if they want to kick you out or let you stay, and it's and then you have to go around and write little slips. If you see somebody doing something, you have to book them and write a slip. So it teaches you to, see
Accountability.
something, integrity, accountability. Tell them, if you see something wrong, say something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you speak to your sponsor this week?
Yes, I do. I speak to my sponsor probably every other day.
And last time you talked to your sponsor, what did you guys talk about?
Yeah. In fact, he called me up. He said, meet me at some meeting at 7:00, but I ended up faking on him. I didn't mean. I had homework to do, so I didn't go yesterday. But I talked to him.
But you
yesterday.
do speak to him regularly.
Yeah.
Then I know that you're currently not working and you going to school. I'm assuming have tuition to pay.
Yeah.
So there's still an outstanding balance that you owe the board. It's $12,000.
Mm-hmm.
You have the means to pay for that?
I have to get the means. I mean, life is about going forward now. It's just about solving problems. So, hey, I'm ready to take on any problem. I could do that now. Before I couldn't do that on a truck. I can do that now. Yeah. I could, how should you say it? Organize things. I know how to organize myself now. My time management, I can take on problems now. Solve problems. My cognition is a little bit better now. A lot better, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Thank you.
Marina?
Did I understand correctly that the reason you were not able to fulfill probation when you were first placed on it was physically you could not because of you were going through withdrawals? Is that correct?
Exactly.
Can you explain to me in more detail what is it that you were undertaking, how you're feeling?
Opiates leave you very weak. If you've been taking them for a while, they drain you. I mean, they take everything from you. I mean, mentally you're messed up. Physically you're messed up. You're just messed up. And it takes time. It depends on how long you've been taking them. How long you've been taking them is going to depend on how long it's going to take for you to get well. So it took me a while. I was really tired. I couldn't get a psych eval because I didn't have any benefits at the time. I wasn't working. I was just sitting in the house with my mom. I couldn't, I would call her. I said, well, I can't get any benefits, And they would say, well, you got to do something. Well, you owe this money. You can give us a little bit. Well, I'm not working, Okay. But I would tell them that, they wanted me to do a lot of different things, but I couldn't. I was just physically unable to. I was drained. I was 50. And not only that, I had things going on in my family. Like I say, the dynamics in my family were changing. My mother was almost at the point where we had to, eventually we had to take her from her condo and put her somewhere else where she could be supervised, because she was starting to drive places and make a left turn instead of a right turn, and she'd end up way somewhere else. So the doctor had to take her license. And so, I sat with her for a while. So all this was going on in my life at the time. She was changing. I was in crisis mode, and it was a bad time.
Okay. I read in your packet that you completed a course titled Maintaining Sobriety in the spring.
That's one of the
2014.
courses, yeah. That's a COSA program. That's one of the courses, yeah. Mhm.
Yes, and I'm wondering, did you, when you completed that class and throughout that class, did that help you understand your own addiction? Was that therapeutic for you?
Oh, yeah. Everything I've learned has kind of helped me. Just learning about all the different type of drugs, cocaine, and marijuana, heroin. I learned about all the different stuff and what it does to you, and stuff and things like alcohol, And alcohol's a drug. People don't know that, but it's a drug. So learning about those things, and it's just kind of like, what? I did what? Why did I what? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Knox, 10 years ago you came in front of the board and you asked for the exact same thing, probation.
Yeah.
We gave it to you,
Yeah.
and you completely let us down. Made the same presentation about being up, having things together, and that you were a good risk where this board believed you, and once you got it, you didn't do anything with it.
Right.
What's to make us think that things have changed? I mean, I've been hearing you're in school, you're doing this, you're doing that, but what essentially what essentially has changed? Because let me finish the question. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
You went in 2005 and 2003, and you took.
I was working at that time.
I realize that, but the cases, I'm sorry, the cases back then, it's actually November 3rd. I'm looking at the dates, I forgot to write down the years. That roughly 15 patients, you diverted huge amounts of Dilaudid and Vicodin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's probably the 15 they gave to you.
Sorry?
I guess that's probably 15 that they presented to you or whatever. Yeah.
But, 10 years ago, you came in front of us, did the same thing you're doing now. Took away pain medications from patients who either didn't have the order. Sorry?
Go ahead, sir. I was playing. Go ahead.
We took a huge amount of medications that were not ordered from the facility for personal use. That was the crux of what started everything. And now here you are, 10 years later from what you were, asking for the exact same thing.
Sure.
Trusted you, and you let us down. What's to, I was on the board at that time. Why should I believe you?
Well, I don't recall going before the board. I remember being in court. That's the only thing I remember is being in court. And when I went to court, and I remember attorney or something saying, "How are you going to do this? And you're coming off of opiates." She posed that question to me, and I was gung ho, and I just was overconfident. I said, "Yeah, I could do it, because I thought I could," but I found out that I couldn't. I said I couldn't. But I wanted my license back. I love nursing. I didn't want to let go of my license at the time. I wanted to fight for it. I didn't want to let I couldn't. I should have just said, "Well, you know what? I'm gonna get myself together. Why don't you just take?" Because I thought under my impression, I thought when your license revoked, it's gone for good. So why not fight for it? In fact, and when it was revoked, I thought it was over with. My mind was totally somewhere else until somebody brought it to my attention that, hey, maybe you can get your license back. Really? So I started doing research, and I found out that you can. After 3 years, you can petition the board. So that's what I decided to do. But I was going to continue to go to school because I refused to come here today with all my eggs in one basket. So I love nursing. I love taking care of people, and I'm going to do it one way or the other. I'm going to get my degree in psychology, and I'm going to continue to take care of people because that's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I like doing. I do want my license back. I do want my LVN license back. I do. But to be honestly with you, tell you that I mean I had to so that I wouldn't leave here or get disappointed and feel that way. I say I'm going to continue to go to school because when I go to the board, I want to be able. I'm going to be working towards something else in case it don't work out. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Obviously, if you didn't get it, you can pursue a job using a psychology degree, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you really want to be a nurse, but one of the aspects of nursing.
Yes, I will, sir.
Thank you. One of the major aspects of the profession of nursing is integrity. That, as the board president said, is that your requirement is you're going to have to work as an LVN. And it may not be as a discharge planner. It may not be behind a desk. You'll have to be on the floor. Therefore, you would have access to the keys and access to the narcotic drawer or the Pyxis machines. How do we know that you are not going to fall into the good old bad OU?
I can't put it in your head to make you know that, but I mean, I know that within myself that I've been clean for 10 years. I've been like I say, I've been homeless. I've been in a lot of not so attractive situations because I wasn't making the money that I used to make. I lost a condominium I didn't use. I've been through a lot and I didn't use. I stayed in the house with my mom, who would look at me and say, Mama, Papa, all day long, every day, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and I didn't use. I didn't take a pill. I didn't take not one Vicodin. I dealt with it. A lot of people couldn't deal with that. I dealt with it.
Thank you.
Norton?
I wanted to follow up on your statement that when you were placed on the probation, that the reason that you didn't fulfill the probation was that you were too weak from the withdrawals of opiates. The withdrawal from opiate can be severe, but you're stated that your sobriety date was January 20th, 2006, but you weren't placed on probation until December of 2007. So were you still feeling the effects
Yes, ma'am.
2 years later?
Not only that, my license was suspended at the time. That was one of the things from my last hearing. I had to, it was a process. I had to put myself back together again. I had to get my license back. I have my license now. I had to do things to get myself back together. I didn't have a license to get in a car to drive to go look for a job or whatever. I had to get that back first. Sometimes a job is not the most important thing. You need to get your life back together. And if you can survive at all, and that's what I did, I survived. But now I'm getting myself back together. Like I went to my church, Cornerstone Missionary Baptist Church. They helped me out a lot because when I went there, I got the counseling I need. I got the counseling from the pastors and the Bible teachers. I got my spiritual stuff together. They gave me a direction. They talked to me. They pointed some things out to me, and I was able to,
So then it would be safe to say that you weren't physically ready to do the probation, nor mentally ready. There were many things, and your physical health was just one component of it. Is that
physically
fair?
and mentally, ma'am. Yes, you're right.
Mr. Durkee?
Yes, thank you. Do you recall, sir, an administrative hearing where a proposed decision was rendered after the accusation of October 2006, and the hearing was in September 13th, 2007 in Oakland?
Could you repeat that again, sir? I'm sorry.
Yeah, do you remember an administrative hearing on an accusation September 13th, 2007 in Oakland?
Oakland. No?
All right, very well. Just for our information, I'm looking at D17 of our packet, which is page 53 of 101.
2007 hearing? No.
And the reason I mention that is you indicated that your sober date is January 20th, 2006.
Sir? At least, sir. Yeah.
Is that your correct sober date?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And you've had continuous sobriety since then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the reason I'm saying that is one of the factual findings based on your testimony in September of 2007 was that your sober date was September 25th, 05, and that corresponded with a period of
What?
MPI treatment services, right?
You say I indicated that my sober day was 2005?
Yes, I'm looking at exhibit at D22.
You know, I know after the incident, I didn't use anything. After that, I went into it immediately. They helped me out. They got some information for me for a program to go to. She gave me 3 choices, and I picked one, and I went into a program, and I didn't use. No, I don't know why. I don't know why I put that down or whatever. Yeah,
I don't know why either.
Yeah,
I'm
the
just
thing is, I haven't
checking
used
here.
since the incident, sir.
Okay. Respondent sobriety date, according to your testimony, was September 25th, 2005.
That might be more accurate than your January. And like I said, I don't have a day because the things were so foggy back then. But all I know is I did not use after the incident. After I came out of there, I did not use.
Okay, and I'm reading here in quotes. He was admitted to the MPI treatment services program at Alta Bates Summit Medical Center in Oakland on September 23rd, 2005.
Yes.
And you testified your sober date is 1/20/2006, and you're pretty firm about that, your recollection. But was there a period of relapse when you got out of MPI until January 2006?
I'm trying to think of a reason why I would put January 20th. Maybe that's what I recognize as my sober date. But I didn't use anything. I went straight from that particular situation into MPI, and after I got out of there, I didn't use anything. So for some particular reason, I may have acknowledged that January date as my sober date for some reason that I can't remember right now. Maybe there's something special about it.
Well, the special thing about the sobriety date was you haven't used since then.
Correct, sir. I know I haven't used anything, yeah.
I have nothing else, Your Honor.
And Mr. Ma, you had asked to go last?
So you had indicated that you attended treatment program voluntarily, the New Bridge program.
Yes, sir.
Right. But you were not feeling any stresses or cravings at that point, or did you, and that's what prompted you to?
I went to Newbridge based on what I had learned about drug addiction. And like I say, a drunk can stop drinking, but the behavior sometimes still it lingers. That's a behavior modification program. I went in there to learn something. My thing was at this point is I knew I was going to go to school for psychology. I wanted to be a psych major. I went into this program to learn something about myself, to correct my behaviors, to learn something about my behavior, my drug addictive behavior. And like I say, people after people quit, recovery is about recovering, getting your life back. That's what recovery is about. Recovery is not about just stopping a drug, because you have to recover, your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit, everything. So, you have to correct some behaviors. I went into the program in 2011,
So were there specific behaviors that you were trying to address, that you self-identified?
I didn't use, but, there was times when, I felt like I wanted to. Yeah.
Do you intend to attend another treatment program in the near future?
No, sir.
Oh, I'm surprised a little bit by your response. I mean,
Am I another treatment program?
I mean, much like you voluntarily enrolled in Newbridge, why wouldn't you do it again for a different program at a later date?
Well, to me, that's like going backwards. I mean, I did this to learn something. I've learned things. I'm going forward. I'm not. Why should I go backwards and go into a program? I haven't. I've learned things. I went to Newbridge. I learned what I wanted to learn, and I went for it. I started school. I went to a substance abuse program. I got my AA. I'm in a psychology program, so I'm going forward. I haven't used anything. Why would I want to put myself in a drug program now? I'm going forward.
So, in general, it's better not to ignore letters or communications from the board. For example, a negotiated surrender of a license is almost always better than a default decision. Do you now understand this?
At the time, sir, I really didn't care. I really didn't care. Like I said, when I gave it up, my mind was, I didn't think I would ever get it back until somebody brought it to my attention. So at that time, I was just that despondent. I was taking care of my mom, and I just, and I couldn't keep up with the stuff. So I said, I don't care, go take it, whatever. I just let it. Instead of calling you guys and say I surrender, I just didn't come. Why I don't.
But do you now understand it's
Yes, I
important
do.
to
Yes,
keep
sir.
the board up to date of where you are, and if you want to surrender your license or if you're not able to meet the probationary terms, it's better to contact the board and board staff and let them know.
Good day, I can do that, sir.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
There was something interesting I saw. This was in your application packet, page A4, and it talked about group therapy. And you cited a class you were taking, a psychology class.
Sure.
Could you explain what this is? Is it a course you're taking that you called group therapy, or is it or something else?
Actually, sir, it was just a class. It was a class I have. And the instructor he was a very nice guy. He used to be the dean of psychology department at San Francisco State, and I think he's kind of instrumental in getting me into San Francisco State. And so he took an interest in me, and we would sit in his office sometime and just talk.
You found that therapeutic, and so
Yes, I did.
called it a group therapy class. Okay, very good. And then I would like to ask you about your treatment for sciatica. You say you have a physician, Dr. Trotter, is that correct?
Sure.
And how often do you see Dr. Trotter?
I see him when something comes up. It was a point when I used to go see him like maybe once a month. But now that with the healthcare system change, you make an appointment and you don't get to see him until 3 months later. So and then when you get there, I don't think unless something's really wrong, unless something's really wrong, I don't think they want to see you. So sometimes if something's wrong, I usually call him and leave a message, and if he writes you a prescription, he'll send it to Walgreens and call me and say go to Walgreens and get it or something like that. If something's really bothering me, I'll go see him.
Can you tell me again what the prescription he's prescribed you for the sciatica? Could you tell me again the prescription? What did he prescribe?
Gabapentin.
Gabapentin. I'm a public member.
Neurontin.
It's for pain? Is it for a kind of pain?
Deep nerve pain. Okay. Deep nerve pain. Not like you take something for pain. It's for nerve pain.
And have you done research on this drug for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any dependency potential, any possibility of addiction to
Not
this
a narcotic,
drug?
no. People can abuse anything. Just about. But no, I don't think it has any. It's not a narcotic or anything like that.
Is Dr. Trotter aware of your opiate addiction?
I never talked to him. I never talked with him about that. No.
Okay. Was there a reason why you didn't share with him this past?
Well, when I go in and see him, I talk about my sciatica. But if something came up regarding the addiction or whatever, then I would discuss it with him. But I didn't see no reason to.
Okay. So another thing you mentioned that caught my attention was that you said you could become addicted if you accidentally received it during medical care.
I'm saying, I would be concerned.
So just be aware that you can add into your medical record, and this is another reason why you might want to tell Dr. Trotter about your former opiate addiction, so that if you're ever put into a situation, healthcare providers can avoid giving you one painkiller for another. Are you aware? And so, does that make sense to you?
Well, that's a clinic. I don't know. If something was to happen to me and I went to the hospital, I don't know that they would, if they would, go back to the clinic, and unless I tell them to. Of which case, I could just tell them myself. I don't want any opiates.
So I don't know how this board will decide on, and you will find out later because we will meet in closed session after these hearings. But are you aware that if you are placed on probation, you may be required to do regular drug testing?
Yes.
Are you aware that that could be a probationary term that would be somewhat expensive for some people?
Yeah.
Okay. And without again committing to any decision about whether this board will grant you probation or not, or your license again, under certain circumstances such as financial hardship, and a colleague of mine raised this, the board may be able to reduce or even eliminate cost recovery. Would you consider it a financial hardship? And it's no ego if you say it is. Would it be a financial hardship to pay the $12,000 back to the board? Because if it would be a financial hardship, the board could decide to reduce or eliminate the cost recovery.
Will it be a strain? Yes.
Could you tell us how much you earn per hour or what you make so that we could consider your financial hardship if the board decides?
You mean when I go to work?
Now, what are you doing? What are you making now?
You want me to tell you how much?
If you want us to consider a financial hardship,
right.
we need some kind of metric. We need either an hourly wage, a weekly wage, or a monthly wage to consider it to be a financial hardship. You don't have to say. You don't have to tell us. It's voluntary.
I don't understand. I would have to have a job to tell you how much I'm making.
So you're not currently working.
I'm not currently working. No.
And so, how do you afford school and?
I get financial aid. I get loans.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very good. That's all I have. Thank you.
Bergmeyer?
Nothing further.
Board members? Yes.
Sorry to continue down this. Mr. Knox, if you were to get a job as an LVN, that would increase your income significantly.
Correct.
And that would then allow you to enter into some kind of
correct
program
agreement.
Do you think it's reasonable to say, yeah, working, as, the LVN position that you described earlier, that it's reasonable to say that you could work out a payment plan for the full $12,000?
Well, because I'm going to school full time. If I was working full time and not going to school, it wouldn't be a problem.
Not your turn. I think it's a fair question. It's his
it's a fair question. I probably if I was I'm going to school full time.
You think it's reasonable?
Yes, it's reasonable.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Anything else from any of the board members? No. Mr. Knox, did you have any witnesses that you were going to call today or evidence you wanted to consider in any documents? Okay. And do you have copies for everybody or just one
Copies
set?
for everybody, yes.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
Can you bring those up then? Give Ms. Bergemeyer a copy too, please.
So these are different than in your packet.
I'm sorry, Ms. Bergemeyer, I didn't hear. These are already in the packet?
I asked if they were different, and he said yes.
Okay. Or I wasn't one short on that. Was I one short? Can I get one more of that last one that's coming? So, Mr. Knox, would you like to have these documents admitted into the record?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Bergemeyer, do you have any objection?
No.
Okay, so for the record, the Merritt College AA will be marked as Exhibit A, Respondents A. The Certificate of Special Congressional Recognition will be B. Cornerstone Missionary Baptist Church Career and Scholarship Committee grad recognition will be C. Do any of the, well, Ms. Bergmar, do you have any questions regarding these documents you wanted to ask Mr.
No.
Knox? Any board members have any questions specific to these documents? All right, so submitted. Okay, anything else, Mr. Knox?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much. The matter submitted. We're off the record.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. That takes us to our next agenda item, which is closed session. The meeting will now adjourn to closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 11-126C3 to deliberate and vote on the above matters and any other disciplinary matters. I would now ask that everyone not authorized to be in the room for closed session would vacate the room as quickly and quietly as possible. Thank you.